Okay, so at this point in time, I'm going to hand over to the chairman of the meeting, President Lyndon Cooper.
Thank you, GS. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Morning, delegates. For those of you who I have not seen, Happy New Year and Happy Mother's and Father's Day. Today is nothing out of the extraordinary, simply because today is part of the SLFA governance structure. And I want to again apologize for the lateness of the 2023 Congress. And we all know why we had to delay it, simply because we went into an earlier election. What we basically are going to ask you to do is to basically approve all the documents that have been circulated. And if we have any other issues, is attempt to clarify or share more light. What I want to indicate, because we are basically in the second half of 2023, my welcome remarks are going to be extremely brief, simply because there is not much to be said in the coming 6 months. But what I am going to do is to highlight some major shift or addition. What I've noticed in the last 4 or 5 years, because of the structure of the organization, there is not much discussion and focus when it comes to both the running and the organization of the sport of football in this country. I say this because the Congress does not give you that opportunity to do so. What the practice have been regionally and internationally for us is to create, what they have done is to create additional opportunities, give it some nice fancy term in order to get more feedbacks, to stimulate more discussion, so that by the time we come to the following Congress, we would have shown an appreciation to where the organization wants to go in the ensuing year. What we have agreed to in 2023 is that we are going to create more opportunities for presidents. We will return this year after COVID to what we would have once called the President's Forum, where we will meet all the presidents and discuss new trends, new practices, and what to anticipate because of the shift of international policies. So it gives us an opportunity to understand what's happening on the international stage and how it's going to impact St. Lucia as 211 members of FIFA. We have also agreed that we will create what we call a referees forum, where once we get the time, we will bring all the match officials who have officiated in order to attempt to enhance the execution of that area of the sport, and secondly, attempt to solve all the challenges that they may have had in the previous year or the current year, and give them that opportunity to intermingle with their own peers in an organized setting where they would face the policy makers, so that we could create more policies moving forward within the sport of football. We have managed to begin the journey in regularizing technical directors. We're now in a position to first stage where we have asked CONCACAF to create a manual for us for technical directors, because we think that all technical directors ought to operate from the same book. And once we could achieve that, it makes the technical side of the sport nationally much simpler to enhance or to build on. Where we have to do this is that we have already completed a C license for all those technical directors as part of the requirements to create the manual for them. So probably before the year end, we should be able to launch that program, and we think that is going to enhance the execution of those individuals within the respective district. What we anticipate that is going to achieve is that the technical directors are going to buy in the philosophy of the sport at the national level, so that they will show an appreciation to what we are doing on the national level and understand whatsoever happens at the district level is going to trigger or impact the philosophy at the national level. So we should be able to achieve that in this second half. We want to create a coaches forum. What we have started is trying to establish what is going to be the framework, and we don't really want the coaches forum to be 4,500 persons. It's just not going to work. So we are going to issue what the framework is going to be and begin the process so that we could at least manage to achieve before December for the first a concept and at least a first discussion with the coaches that wants to be part of the SLFA structure. And the intention is for us to bring the new trends in coaching to those respective coaches and to see if we could get them to buy in the philosophy of the sport as we want the technical directors to do. And we think that once we could achieve those two things by December 31st, the execution of the technical program by the technical department is going to be much smoother and more acceptable to every single member league. And the last one we will create this year is we want to do those four things at least twice for the coming 6 months. And I want to encourage my 19 athletes to buy into the concept because it's going to create that level of discussion. Technical meetings are another forum, but it's specifically going to address issues pertaining to competitions and not necessarily attempt to shape the policy framework of the SLFA moving forward. Everyone of us has a responsibility, and that is to make their contribution towards the growth and development of the game. As we have indicated, we have managed to begin the process of stabilizing or building our two senior national teams. As we have said in the past, we are professionalizing it. We must go down that route for one simple reason. If we hold on to the philosophy or the principle of developing the game and going to the next World Cup, it's going to be a continuous myth if we want to get there without professionalizing the senior teams. For us, we have gotten an ideal opportunity through the creation of the CONCACAF Nations League for female. Whilst we welcome the opportunity, I want to serve the caution that the same pattern that is going to be that have been used to establish and to develop the senior men's team, the same pattern and principle is going to be executed for the female team. The challenge for us is that the cost of funding the senior female team is going to be as much as a senior male team. And two things that I know that we have not understood is that every budget has a reducing balance. So we would have to move forward in trying to manage that within the resources that we have. But I also want to caution that we do not have the resource to compete in both of the tournaments regionally. So we have to make an effort as an organization to look for external financing, simple because of the cost associated with the competition for us. We had to enter it because if we did not, as we did for the mill team, we would have been left out of the format, and it would be a little more difficult to re-enter the format. And not being able to re-enter the format at the CONCACAF level was going to drastically affect us in the FIFA rankings. So whilst the focus for us is the FIFA competition, but most of the time to get there, you need to participate in that tier of football first and foremost. So there are going to be a lot of changes that we are going to do within the next 6 months. There are going to be cutbacks. One assurance that I want to give you is that we have begun to discuss internally, and we have assigned to my vice president to take a look at the program for 2023 as of now, so that we will not have those hiccups that we have had in the past, especially when it comes to the compliance issue in terms of competitions. You would notice that we have not made a shift in terms of allocating what we once called SLFA. We are remodeling and name it now as forward. If you recognize, we have not removed that allocation that is in the budget for the 19 affiliates. The reality is we have already been served with the notice that 2023 is going to be the last year that there are going to be any handouts for any 211 members of FIFA. You will have to comply with the regulations. You will have to do what the regulations ask you to do. And if you fail to comply, then the results is going to be disastrous. So the competitions we are attempting to start and finish in 2023 within the next 6 months are going to have challenges, doubts, and misgivings. The reality is we must try to fit it so that we understand what we're doing in 2024. I've told you before what is required is impossible for the SLFA to meet in 12 months. That's just the reality of it, but we have to attempt to get to do every single one, or at least 85%, so that we'll be in a position to at least get the 85% of the development funds. Women's football have been the challenge for us. We are giving it a priority, much more priority in 2023. We have recognized it's not feasible or possible for us to achieve the regulations when it comes to males. Female domestic football. So what we have done, we have asked FIFA to help us create a female league where the allocation, the resource they are going to give to us will not be within the financial regulation. So it will be easier for us to build the league and get the same allocation, but under a different method. So we are going to play ourselves notice that we must play 6 months of female football. We have also committed ourselves to play club female football. We are discussing it, and we hope to finalize it this week to make a final decision. But I want us to notice that the concept of club female football is not intended to compete with this week. I want to make this abundantly clear. The intention for the SLFA leadership is to allow the district to see a pool of players they can choose from for when the competition starts. So in the event that it gets undercut, it has to be a conduit or a pathway to district football and not a competitor. So I want everybody to get that message. What we have done with club and district in the past is for persons to perpetuate a competition between the two, and that's not the intention. Semi-pro football, we are doing our utmost to build the institution. The only guarantee now is that we have in excess of about 85% of the incorporated documents. So once we could get all that, it will be handed, the certificate is going to be handed to each league so that we could begin the process of going into that direction. What is key for us is the concept, and once we can get that going, it means that we will be able to begin to compensate players. Now the concept of semi-pro, it's a brand and a concept, not a structure. We have already agreed that the 19 leagues are going to transform into companies. And by extension, they are going to be the controllers, the organizers, the main stakeholders in the semi-professional league. The good thing for us is that we have already engaged FIFA on attempting to help us establish it. And I think they have, assigned 3 of the officers who are supposed to be in Senegal sometime after August in order to take a look at what the structure is. Now we are commencing district football in the next week, by June. That's a concept. Once players are beginning to be compensated, it remains Island Cup, but just semi-pro. The semi-pro is just a payment. The concept is already there. So between next week and before the FIFA people come, we are going to engage all the presidents to begin to give them an appreciation to what we want to achieve. So by the time the FIFA experts come, we have an understanding of what we want and what they want to superimpose. Because the experts that are coming are not you and me. They are coming from a background where their economy or the per capita might be $10,000 or 200%. So in their minds, that they may attempt to view us on equal path. We are not. We are beginning a process, and nobody should expect us, starting it now, to be as perfect as Jamaica. But mind you, on the Jamaica issue, I was just told sometime last week, which I have to research. There are no domestic competition run by the Jamaica Football Federation. They don't have one. Semi-pro is not run like them. They only govern school football, same thing. But the same amount of money they get, that we get, we have to run domestic competition ourselves. We have to run national teams ourselves. And we have to try our utmost to build a grassroots base so that when the kids come to the 4th or the 10th, they are kids who can play. We alone now have that system apart from the smaller kind of countries. So we are basically doing much more than what we anticipated that we can do. In 2024, we are going to make some significant adjustments.
and that is to be in compliance with the overall objective. We have already applied to FIFA to give us a talent identification, a new program. Lucky enough, our hands operator, they give it to us. We have already established 4 elite centers. Now, we should not be establishing elite centers. And the intention is for us to get the players played competitively by the time they get to the place. But I repeat, our first international engagement is 14 years. And we cannot have kids playing football at 12 years. They must be played competitive at least at 11 years. That may not lie down well with the theory of physical education, but I make no bones. I want to apologize for attempting to be offensive to all the members who are PE teachers. My sport is football, and the agenda is to push the sport. And if we cannot get to the second round in under 14, after the team have trained for 6 months, we have to reframe that strategy. Just not going to be innocent. If we can't get to the finals in second division in under 15, something has to be fundamentally wrong with the base that we want to set. So we want to encourage you to make good use of the center by ensuring that your better players are sent to the center. What we have seen is we send anybody. And by the time we begin to get 6 weeks ago, the center is not a grassroots program, it's an elite center. And we expect every child to be able to do advanced basic, not big by just touching up or no. You have to see the coaches has to see a resemblance of order. And then the coaches are going to build on it in order to go into the centers, into the national team centers. There is no pathway or shortcut come 2024 to any national team if the kids are not in the center. You would be the best player, you have to progress. But we need to control from the early age the method of play and instill what the philosophy of the sport is for us to move forward. And for me, that's a very simple exercise. It comes at a cost to us, but we're compensating the asset. I say this because we are not getting the response that we are looking for when it comes to getting the kids into the system. The kids has to come with something, or else they're going to go back within their respective leagues. Those 2 main projects that we are already dealt with the semi-pro, it's coming on stream. FIFA is involved, still remain committed to our $1 million, notwithstanding the fact that there's a reducing balance. The government still remains committed to assisting us, and we are going to put together a task force sometime this week, just to begin, to finalize the outlook of the competition. So we are going to take a look at the competition from an outside perspective to see where we have to strengthen and what we have to do. The reality for us is, once we settle in the district and we settle the concept of semi-pro, do not forget that the games are going to be at close range. No longer can the SLFA afford to spend $600 in hosting one activity, and the revenue to cover that expenditure is zero. If we're going into semi-pro, we must generate additional resources and attract sponsors specifically for this competition. One more thing I want to add quickly is the fact that no matter what the outcome of the structure of football is, we must bear one thing in mind. We're part of an international organization. And the governance of every single member is important for the survival of the SLFA. We can no longer sit at the SLFA and keep quiet when our members are not in compliance with what the regulations require them to do. If we move from amateur to semi-pro, the fact that we are FIFA members and we have to generate the amount of competition and matches still require you and me, you and us to comply with international rules. So if the format or the rules say that each member must have a minimum of 3 licenses, a female team, a youth team, going to semi-pro is not going to hide you. You will still have to comply with that requirement. Because there must be growth. And the growth for us is at least from under 10 to under 20, under 23. Maybe not senior, because the policy is there is nothing like transition from under 23 to senior. We used to do that prior to independence. That's no longer the policy or the philosophy. Both senior team, male and female, must have the best players. And if the best player is a 6-year-old, he has to be there. If he's an 85-year-old, he has to be there. Yes, that's the reality. If the best player, we can do that professional, so that's not said. So we have to get it. And I'm serving the notice. If we have to sit and the policy direction, come back to Congress, amend the rules, some leagues just must smooch. And the bitter pill is, that is just what we are going to begin to put on the table in the next 6 months. So when 2024 comes, we can begin the process of merging. It makes no footballing sense that we have no activity, no programs. And for us to be in compliance with what the financial regulation of FIFA asks us to do, you are not assisting us. And we still have to turn back and assist. We have to be in compliance. And if SLFA has to be, the warning in, you just must be, and there's no more time for negotiations. We just have to do it, or else it's not going to work. It will leave us behind, and we will be not the last, but the one after the last. And we cannot afford, as an organization, now what we have achieved, to go backward. I say this because it remains on my mind significantly that our investment in our last under 20. We invested from under 14 to under 15. COVID did not give us under 17, we went under 20. We did not lose one game in 6 years. Going on the history books, no team has done that between Christopher Columbus arriving here and now. That's a remarkable achievement. But the heartbreaking thing for the organization, me in particular, that team did not go past the first round. With all that investment. So whatsoever we do as an exco, pass it on to the Secretariat for Execution, is because we understand the interventions we must create. And you have to be part and parcel of that intervention. When we did not go to the under-20 World Cup, and a team that even couldn't score or even beat the wins, there is no need for no party here. We did not achieve the objective. But we must not come back and sit and do nothing. We have to try to analyze why we did not pass there. And we do not have two chances. We didn't make it under 20. There is not another 20 again. It's because of the progression. I'm saying all this because it will give you an appreciation to what policy direction we are going to take in 2024 and to begin to make the adjustment in 2023. As I said, the competition is going to run this year. We are going to have challenges. There are going to be issues. People are going to compete. We have to try to make it work within the regulation so we understand what has to be done in 2024 as early as possible. And I want to use this opportunity to apologize for any misgivings and doubts that the competitions that we are going to start are going to create. We must do it because we have a responsibility to organize for this kind of football. But you have the responsibility to ensure we achieve the objective. We are at your disposal. The assistant is there. We just expect it to trickle down to exactly where we want the program to be in order to achieve the objective. If we cannot, in under 14, make the second row, we can continue to start playing football at 11. We have to start at 5. But we're doing the same thing over and over. 6 months of training, 4 weeks, 3 weeks of competition. And the 6 months is not for free. I can tell you that. So if we are going to sit here as policymakers, you have to show an appreciation to what we want to do as the executive committee with your support and your guidance. And that's one of the reasons we are going to create those forums so we'll get the feedback. We could discuss those issues at length. Because as I said, the Congress don't give us the opportunity to be discussing those things and extracting the best ideas from it. Finally, we remain as an executive committee grateful for the support you have given to us in the last 6 months, in the last 2 years, in the last 3 and 4 years. As we have said, feel free, any footballing issue, call the secretariat. If you can't get yes, call me. And if you can't get well, So once again, thank you very much for being here. And that's all as 19 League One Association take football to higher heights. So once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this point in time, this